I've spent 8 years helping B2B software founders build, scale, and sometimes save their products. Dozens of companies, millions in budgets, some massive wins, and some painful failures. Today, I'm giving you all of it. 10 lessons in 12 minutes. No fluff, no theory, just the stuff I wish someone told me on day one. I also put together a framework with all 10 lessons and action steps that you can use right away. It's free. Grab it in the description below. Before we dive in, hit subscribe if you want more frameworks like this. I drop practical content for B2B software founders every 2 weeks. And if this video helps, I'd really appreciate a like. Let's go. First lesson. Integrate from day one. Here's the fastest way to kill your product before it even gets traction. Ask people to change how they work. Don't do it. Don't build a new habit. Plug into their existing ones. If your customers live in CRM, connect there. If they run their finances through QuickBooks, integrate there. If they pull reports from a third-party system, take the data via API. I've seen this over and over. Founders build beautiful standalone products, launch them, and then wonder why adoption is so low. It's because you're asking people to live what they already know and trust. Building a new habit is 10 times harder than tweaking an existing one. And this is not just my opinion. I got this insight from Steve Mast, founder of 2044. They do AI adoption for mid-market and enterprise businesses, and Steve has over 30 years in tech. He said it plain and simple. People don't resist technology, they resist change. If you plug it into what they already do, adoption takes care of itself. Check out my interview with Steve on the channel, it's a goldmine. So stop fighting human nature. Meet your users where they already are. Lesson number 2. Distribution is not an afterthought. Sometimes founders think their product will attract customers on its own. That's not a plan, that's a prayer. You need a distribution strategy from the jump. Who already has your audience? Partner software companies, industry audiences, associations, conferences? And here's the key. Pay them for the customers who already subscribe and pay, not just signups. That's a fair model that aligns incentives. If you're paying for warm bodies who never convert, you're lighting money on fire. Think about your distribution the same way you think about architecture. If you wouldn't build your product without a plan, don't build your go-to-market without one either. Lesson number 3. Prototype at zero cost. This one is a game changer, and it's only gotten better in the last year. Claude is incredible for prototyping. You can imitate AI workflows, build simple app interfaces, mock up entire user flows, all without spending a dime on development. Here's how I use it. Build the interface in Claude, show it to real users, collect their feedback, adjust. Repeat this until they say, yes, this is exactly what I need. Then, and only then, spend money building it. I've watched founders burn $50K on MVP that nobody wanted, all because they skipped this step. In 2026, there's zero excuse to build blind. Prototype first, validate first, spend later. Lesson number 4. Every dollar needs an ROI. This is the one that separates founders who scale from founders who stall. Calculate the return on investment for every single piece of functionality you're building. Not approximately. Not it feels important. Actually, run the numbers. If a feature costs you $10K to build and brings you a customer who pays $50K a year, that's 5x ROI. That's a no-brainer. Ship it yesterday. But if something costs you even $5K and there's no clear return, skip it. I don't care how cool it is. I don't care if your designer is excited about it. Unless your budget is unlimited, and spoiler, it never is. Every dollar needs to earn its spot in the roadmap. This isn't about saving money. It's about building a culture where every decision is tied to business outcomes. And that mindset compounds over time. Lesson number 5, product plus service. This one surprises people, but the data doesn't lie. I've worked with dozens of founders, the ones who built successful businesses and sold them. Most of them say the same thing. 60 to 70% of their revenue was service-based. But here's the part most people get backwards. They think the product gets the customers in the door and the service keeps them paying. Flip that. Sell service first. Then let the product scale what service delivered. Let me give you 2 real examples. vSimple builds process automation for dealers and manufacturers. Their CTO told me this in the interview. They don't start by handing over the software. They start with service, researching and documenting the customer's actual process. That's the heavy lift. Understanding how the business really works, where things break, and where the bottlenecks are. Once that's mapped out, they recreate those same workflows inside the vSimple platform. The setup itself takes the least amount of time, and the real value is in the discovery work that came before it. Is it building a new habit? No. It's taking existing processes and putting them into one place. Same workflows, new environment, everything centralized. Here's another one. Dig Insights is a market research company. I recently interviewed their co-founder Yen Ash. Check it out on my channel. They started as pure consulting. Over time, they took their methodology and built it into a product, a platform called Dig One. Now, their researchers use the platform to deliver results in a clean, beautiful interface instead of spreadsheets or third-party tools. And if the client wants to eventually run the research on their own, they can, because they've already seen how the Dig Insights team uses the platform. See the pattern? Don't wait for a product customer to come back asking for services. Lead with the service. Show them the value. And then the product becomes the natural next step. It's faster, it follows their methodology automatically, and it gives a DIY option for the clients who have the resources. Throwing a product at your customers and saying, go figure it out yourself, doesn't work in 2026. Not anymore. Lesson number 6. Use external teams as extensions. Outsource the boring stuff, the low priority stuff, the things that your core team hates doing. Refactoring, that one feature screaming client needs that isn't on your roadmap, legacy integrations that nobody wants to touch. Take it to someone who can temporarily help you. Keep your core team building things that make them excited. Happy engineers build better products. That's simple. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think external teams are only for low priority work. That's not true. Whenever you have something outside of your roadmap that has measurable ROI and real impact on your business, use an external team for that too. Treat them like an extension of your team, not a vendor. Number 7. Become AI native in your processes. If you're still running your company the way you were 2 years ago, you're already behind. Every call needs to be recorded and summarized. Loom for async demos, Granola or similar tools for meeting notes, Cloud skills to act like your product manager to write PRDs, QA engineer to create test cases, even a developer if you need a prototype or a quick demo. Everything that can be automated should be automated. But, and this is important, keep a human in the loop. AI is your co-pilot, not your autopilot. The founders who get this balance right are moving twice as fast as everyone else with half the team. This isn't about replacing people. It's about giving your small team superpowers. If you've got 5 engineers operating like 15 because of AI tooling, you just change the economics of your entire business. Number 8. Small but confident steps. This is my favorite one, and it's the one I repeat to founders more than anything else. Let's build an MVP of this feature. If it's a new AI automation, let's get a Claude prototype working first, then craft a simple production version, and then scale it. Every big thing starts as a small thing. But here's the nuance. The confidence of the step matters more than its size. A small step you're confident in beats a giant leap you're guessing on, every single time. Small steps reduce risk, and they keep you cost conscious. And they maximize your chances for success because you're learning at every stage instead of betting everything on one big launch. I've watched founders try to boil the ocean. Build everything, launch big, hope for the best. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. The ones who win, they ship small, learn fast, and compound those wins over time. Lesson number 9. Know your customer's business inside out. Remember vSimple from lesson 5? Here's the deeper point. They didn't start as a tech company. They were a dealership company. They used to sell furniture. And because they lived in the world of distribution every single day, they knew the pain points cold. So they built the software for themselves first. Then they pivoted into a workflow automation platform specifically for distribution firms and material handling companies. They know the business inside out, and that's their unfair advantage. Every successful founder I know, every single one of them lives with their customers. They're learning their problems, their goals, getting their instant feedback on anything they build or plan to build. You can't build great software from boardroom. You build it from the trenches. standing right next to the people who use it every day. Last but not least, lesson number 10. Say no to 90% of what's asked of you. This is the lesson that ties everything together. Your backlog is not your roadmap. And let me say it once again. Your backlog is not your roadmap. Customers will ask you for 50 features. Your sales team will promise 20 of them. Your competitor just shipped 10 more. Doesn't matter. You go back to the lesson 4. Run the ROI. You go back to lesson 9. Use what you know about the business. And then you say no to everything that doesn't move the needle. Saying no is the hardest thing you'll do as a founder. Your instinct is to say yes to everything because every customer feels important. Every opportunity feels urgent. But urgency is not the same as importance. And the moment you learn to separate those two, you'll start scaling faster than you ever thought possible. So here's the full list. 8 years, 10 lessons. Integrate from day one. Meet your users where they already are. Build your distribution strategy before you build the product. Prototype at zero cost. Validate before you spend. Every dollar needs an ROI. No exceptions. Lead with service, then scale with product. Use external teams as extension of yours. Become AI native in anything you do. Small but confident steps. Confidence beats size. Know your customer's business inside out and say no to 90% of what's asked of you. Alright, those are the 10 lessons from 8 years of building software with founders just like you. If you want the framework with all 10 lessons and the action steps, grab it in the description below. It's completely free. If this was helpful, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. I put out new content every 2 weeks to help you scale your B2B software company without losing your mind. I'll see you in the next one.